The physical body is created by your thoughts, and everything in your reality is created through your thoughts.
This is such a confidence booster because you can look forward to this. You can do this every day. And you know you did something.
Yes.
And you just ran around, even if you just writing, even if you're studying, whatever, you did something physical. Awesome. Yes, sir.
Is on the 21st of September of 2020. They had said they thought they found a heart. So I was supposed to go into surgery like 9 p.m. at night. At 8:35, they came in and said the cardiology team just wasn't 100%. They're going to let that one pass. And my normal, I would have gotten upset. But a peace of calmness came over me, man. I mean, came over me that I've always heard. I was brought up in a church with country boy in Arkansas.
Nice.
When I joined the military and called myself sort of, I always known it was God, but sort of separate myself a little bit. But man, I felt the peace and joy and calmness. Like we said, old folks used to talk about.
That's right.
And like everything, something just said everything. I'm telling you, man, I'm not a religious guy, but a spirituality. I know there's good and evil and heaven and hell. Believe in God, and there's something with this world.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I don't know, maybe the sun rays hit you at a certain angle or something. But
They do. They definitely do. I promise you that. I can't thank you enough for stopping by.
It's my pleasure.
I'm gonna make sure I get your name and write it down. I'm gonna contact you and let you know how I'm doing. You are such an inspiration to everyone here and myself. I love you and I thank you, man. Please continue doing exactly what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. Stay blessed.
Yes, right.
Now, I did have a complaint about the food for the first 30 days. But it turned around okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dance party in the hospital.
Well, I don't get to go out.
It does. Doing good.
You have success and they gon' ask for the key, but where was you when I was needing to read life lessons from how people can be? These mic expressions how I seem to get free. My mind tested from the demons that creep. Acknowledge your thought to bring it to peace. With a solemn heart it's easy to see. From the start I just been keeping it G. Know I'm sparking all my people in need. Sending smoke signals cheap in the tree. Feel the pulse of the street inside a city that breeds corruption and greed. Lose my loved ones while they tucking the heat, but can't succumb to defeat. Rumble young man, recoveries in reach. There's still enough you can eat, and so I'm crushing these beats. It's soul eruption. My function is to flow with the speech. Funds for the seeds, a better life than the one I'ma lead. But my legacy cemented for the ones that'll lead. It's something deep, feel it in your chest when they spun my heat. Play it for the naysayers while they underneath. Nothing sweet. Silence haters, rise above the weak. Pulling on this blueberry muffin, building comfortably. It's real. It's real. It takes a minute just to understand.
Love, peace, and power, everybody. Welcome to the Mystery Arcade Occult Multiversity. My name is Kilel Kiano, aka Konami Codes. Thank you for joining me for another wonderful installment. I'm joined by my brother, and honored to always have him in the building, Hero Keith Young. How are you doing, God? Welcome.
Doing very well. Doing very well. Thanks for having me in the house again. Yeah, I was just checking out that video you posted up. That was you in the hospital recovering from your experiences.
Yeah. Love, peace, and eternal rise and power to Azazel Bay. Love, peace, and power to Big Brother Magic Lacroix. Did a live stream earlier today where we gave honor to Azazel Bay because it's been 3 years since he made the transition, and it's been 3 years since I made several transitions. 2 days after he made his transition, I essentially died 6 times. And coming back from that has been the greatest experience of my life. I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be doing this amongst a few other things. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. So I wanted to show that clip just to give honor to Azazel Bay Magic Qua and everyone who has been a part of this healing journey thus far, allowing me the space to just be me. It's an honor to allow others space to be them, and it's always an honor to have you here. I can't wait to see what it is you're going to drop, what you have on your mind. So without further ado, what's going on with you? What have you gathered for us tonight?
So this evening I have a presentation titled Beyond Belief. And it is about the secret war to control what it is that we believe, and how our beliefs actually shape and influence our reality. I have put together this information. It's an update to an old presentation I used to give called The Media and Your Mind. And it's about how there are certain people, institutions, companies that use mind control tactics to control what it is that you believe, and therefore how you act, and how if you can control what a person believes, you can control what they perceive. So you can also control how they behave towards other people in other arenas. Basically, socially, we're talking about social engineering. So I have a lot of interesting information that I would like to share about the concept of the power of belief, and the power of belief being an actual form of psychic energy that can be used and guided and directed to different places, and many different places use your belief energy or use your belief power. So that's what I wanted to talk about this evening. So I have some presentation materials. I got some flashy graphics. I got some books to share. And any questions, comments, concerns that you have, or anybody in the audience, I definitely want to get that into the mix, and just break out the concept and begin to understand. Like, at the end of the day, my goal is to talk about the power of your belief, but also what you should believe in, and then how you can use the power of belief to make your life better. Is the end goal. How do you make your life better, or how do you use that power to improve the world around you? That's the end goal, or that's where we're going with the information.
Well, you can take my money already, because the premise alone was enough, but you're giving out something that I can't hear enough of. I don't want to say that there isn't enough of it, but it's one thing to report consistently, on the so-called ills of the world and who's doing what and the why, but the solutions, the ideas of how to remedy, how to combat, how to remove, some of these powers that should not be. Shout out to my big sister Visa going live over in Telegram right now, or culturally speaking. I'm going to steal her phrase, the powers that used to be. Um, Remedying that. That's a powerful thing. I don't know if enough people have realized it's even an option, just because of how so much information is disseminated and how it comes across. So I can't wait to hear, brother. The floor is all yours.
All right, let's get to it. Let me see. I'm going to click this present button. And let's see if it'll let me share my screen. Sharing screen. All right. And then choose which screen to share. All right, I'm going to share that one. Start this presentation. Show from the beginning. All right. Let's see. Get my technology together. All right. So, all right, that's the one. I'm going to share that screen. Okay. All right. Can we see the screen? All right. We got it. Okay. Can you see my screen, Kilo?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Here we go. All right. So, like I said, this presentation is entitled Beyond Belief, and it's the covert agenda to control what you believe. And right off the rip, I have some symbols on the flyer or the presentation graphic, like the Democrat donkey, the symbol for the religion of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and then the Republican elephant. Those symbols signify that those are some arenas in which our belief power gets channeled into. And so we just want to talk about what that is and how that happens. So, like I said, belief is power, and religious institutions, religious systems have known that fact for a very long time. They use religious power in order to create systems that of behavior and systems of thought that they can then direct people into and through so they can get desired outcomes. So religion has been doing this for a very long time, using belief power. When they were doing, in the heyday, colonialism's heyday in the Americas, as they were colonizing us, they were sending over missionaries. The missionaries' job is to convert people into the new form of belief. So when we're talking about Christianity, we're talking about religious conversion into their belief system. So they would send in these missionaries to go and talk to people who didn't know anything about their religion or their religious belief system or their God or any of that. And their job was to actually convert their energy or convert their thinking, convert their mind into a form that they can control. So that's at the heart, the power of belief. The concept really got introduced to me through that, learning about the religious conversion of indigenous people throughout the world by various religious institutions for the purpose of being able to control their behavior. And also to various degrees control their economics, their politics, et cetera, et cetera. So belief power is just as strong as electric power. It can be used to power buildings, things, vehicles. It can be used to power movements of political movements, if you will. Belief can be used to change quite a bit. How they manipulate what we believe is one of the ways they manipulate what we believe is through television programming. And when I say programming, I mean programming in the sense of like computer code programming. That with the goal of being able to beam different ideas from the machine into the minds of the masses. So media is now and has always been a way to communicate thoughts, ideas, and mental pictures from one mind to another. All right. To kind of talk about the concept a little bit more, or to give an example of this concept, there's a really great movie that illustrates what I'm talking about. It's called They Live. It was by John Carpenter. It had Roddy Piper in it, Keith David. And it was about a man who he got this pair of glasses. And the glasses, when he put them on, it allowed him to see reality for what it was. So he would not have the glasses on, and he would see billboards, things like, just regular stuff in his environment. And it seemed like how it looks to people every day. But when he put on the glasses and he would look through it, he would see that the billboards changed into these subliminal messages. Instead of seeing an ad for jeans or for alcohol, he would see the billboard says obey, or sleep, or conform, or watch TV. So the glasses gave him the ability to see the hidden truth, right? So it really showed that there is like a secret or hidden reality to our culture that the masses don't really pay attention to so much. We're, for the most part, the masses are merely consumers of media. They look at media, they're exposed to billboards, they're exposed to social media, they're exposed to advertisements on TV, radio, cable. Whether they're just driving down the street, they mail advertisements to you. You see it everywhere you go. But what if you had some glasses that could show you what it was they were really trying to sell you, what they were really trying to get you to think about? It would really change the way that you perceive media and perceive our environment that we live in. Because the environment that we live in is full of subliminal messages with the goal of controlling what we believe.
Can I add one thing to that, Harold?
Certainly.
For anybody who doesn't know, They Live was essentially the Matrix before the Matrix, or before Dark City, which was the Matrix before that, right? They Live came out in 1988. 1988 was a Earth Dragon year. Shout out to my Earth Dragons, all the ones who are 36 years old right now, going through that personal year of completion. You can see this transformative energy. So it's no question why they released this movie in the year that they did. I'm sorry, please continue.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, thank you for the addition of information. Yeah, They Live was definitely a very powerful movie, and it was, the Matrix of its day, with its message of, waking up to a different reality than, we're presented with every day. And what, we're led to believe is reality, is really just a manipulation of what we see and what we believe. And we're going to get into it. That's the thing here. I'm not just going to keep repeating how it's, that we're being manipulated. We're going to get into actually how it's being manipulated. So if we just talk about some of the universal laws of the universe, as you can, if you want to take a more of a deep dive into what I'm about to talk about, there's this book here called The Kabbalions by the Three Initiates, and it details universal law in it. And the very first law is the law of mentalism, that the all is mind, the universe is the mind, and the universe is mental. All of us have a mind. All of us are a part of this great all mind, and the mind the mind is reality. Everything that we perceive in reality is based in our minds. So when we're talking about mind control, we're talking about, you know, the most fundamental part of reality, because that's where we all perceive reality at, is in our minds, right? So what you think and what you feel in your imagination creates your reality. There's this great book, or it's a graphic novel actually, by I think it's Image Comics. It's called The Department of Truth. There's a couple volumes of this stuff, but in this book they talk about this United States Department. It's a fictional book, fictional, and it's about the Department of Truth, a government agency that their main function is to influence the things that people believe. And it goes through all these different conspiracy theories, like the conspiracy theory of Lee Harvey Oswald shooting the president, Bigfoot, aliens, flat Earth conspiracy versus globe. And they talk about how media is used, and different things are used to influence what people believe and how that actually has an effect on reality. If enough people believe a thing, it actually starts to become a form of truth. So this is a really great book that illustrates the concept, The Department of Truth. I just want to read a real quick excerpt from it, where the main character is actually being introduced to this government agency, and he's being poached from an FBI agency to the Department of Truth. And the leader of the Department of Truth tells him that, son, the world is round. It goes around the sun. Get me a big laser pointer and a few meter sticks, and I can prove it to you. That's the truth. But that's not the truth because of science. What you saw there at the end of the world was a sliver of another kind of truth taking hold. You're saying it was a kind of tulpa space. Tulpa. When the fuck did the whole fucking world go Buddhist? You're all going to be shaving your head and singing to me with all this hippie bullshit, right? Well, anyway, a tulpa is a thought form, a belief given a body. All right, so that's an occult concept. They got it in this book called The Department of Truth. They're talking about how beliefs actually create things. Miss Blue, way back in the day, when she had her when she was doing her show, I don't know if she's still doing it, but she used to say it all the time, that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. Thoughts can become things. Everything in this world was first a thought, right? So what they're talking about is the manipulation of your belief in order to create different realities, in order to create different things. All right. Additionally, if an individual's belief has power, okay, the concept of belief manipulation is based on that if your belief is powerful, our belief is way more powerful. All right. So the more people that you have that believe a thing, that actually creates more energy to a certain reality, to a certain truth. Okay. So this is a concept that is dealt with once again by the government. It's not just a book of fiction. They put this stuff in fiction in order to well, it's a lot of reasons why they put it in fiction, but this is not a fictional thing. The government uses this science and technology. Religion uses this science and technology. Advertisers, every corporation that has something to sell uses this spirit science of belief manipulation. All right. And they do it through the media. So let's talk real briefly about what the media is. Before I get into the breakdown of the media, did I have any questions, Khalil?
No, but I want to praise you for reading that comic and owning that comic. I've been trying to put people under that comic for the last 2 or 3 years. It's one of my favorites. People still sleep on Image. You know, it's easy to be blinded by the big two, but Image has always been the number 3 to me. That comic is amazing. They tackle a myriad of quote unquote conspiracy theories, but no, that's all. Please continue.
Oh yeah, yeah. Image is definitely the third pillar, and they are, to me, they've kind of filled in a space between Dark Horse Comics and Marvel and DC. Like, but they really have their own lane. I really find a lot of unique stuff. The more unique stories I get from Image, and I feel like they take more risks with their stories, and they definitely have more politically conscious comics, if you will. So yeah, man, it's a great read. I highly recommend it for people, for anybody, especially guys like guys and gals like us who are into this stuff. I mean, it actually drops a lot of real occult science. Straight up, it drops a lot of real science in there that, check it out. That's why I'm sharing. So anyway, all right, let's get into the media. The media, what actually is the media? In basic terms, it's just a way of communicating a message from a person, a group, or entity to another person, group, or entity. So a medium is an intervening substance through which something is transmitted or carried on, such as rocks, bones, paper, books, magazines, movies, television, radio, internet, social media, and smartphones. These are all forms of what we would call a medium, which just basically a way to transfer this information. Furthermore, media is a mechanism for mind control. Period, point blank. Media is designed to put someone else's ideas into your head. That point cannot be overstated enough, because people tend to understate or undermine the power of media. And you often hear things like, it's just a TV show. It's just a this, it's just a that, and it's not that big a deal. Uh, when there's violence shown on TV, nowadays they blow it off. But I remember when I was young, and they didn't show as much or as graphic violence as they're able to show on TV, and there was some concern over how it was going to affect people in the real world. And the consensus at the time in the media was that there was going to be little to no effect, because people know it's just a TV show. But the opponents to that idea said that no, exposure to hyper violence on television is going to begin to desensitize people, and it's going to cause more violence in places like schools, uh, jobs, and things like that. And sure enough, as the media was beginning to have more free reign with showing violence on television, the violence in our culture began to increase at alarming rates. And we won't, well, I guess we should also get into the fact that began to feed the prison industrial complex by the clever use of media to begin to put certain violent types of ideas into the collective consciousness. It totally began to make the rates of physical violence, crime, go up, which began to fill prisons, which began to create a new type of economy. All right. So that's how that power can be used. That's how the power of media can be used to influence belief and behavior, and how it can actually directly get into somebody's bottom line. All right. So, media and the Black consumer. Let's just talk briefly about, how much we watch television, how much we consume media, like just how much we sit and take it in. These are real numbers, and they can be found at Nielsen.com. And these are actually dated numbers. These are numbers from around 2017 to 2020. But as of that time period, we were watching approximately 201 hours of television a month. And 92% of Black people tune into radio programs, 16 minutes of radio per day, 12 hours of radio per day, 56 hours of smartphone and apps per month. And that is a very low estimate at this point today. As consumers, African Americans spend over $1 trillion of goods and services every year. African Americans represent the largest target market in America, which means that we like to buy stuff and they like to show it to us on TV in order for us to buy it. This is about shopping trips and stuff like that. We don't really need to get too much into that. We'll just keep moving on into how media affects people, Black people in particular. First and foremost, if you get into your physical body, your hair is an antenna. All of our hair is an antenna, which receives and amplifies radio signals and television signals. Internet, Wi-Fi signals, Bluetooth signals. You can feel your phone and your phone can feel you. Because of this relationship, your hair is an antenna. What else is an antenna? Your melanin is an antenna. It conducts electricity at ultra high frequency, UHF. That is a television frequency, and you can pick it up. We all pick up these signals all day, every day. It amplifies the message. Well, that's why that's important. Why is that important? Because it amplifies the messages that they're beaming to us. All right. So let's get into entertainment, how they use entertainment to manipulate what you believe. First of all, let's just break down the word. It's broken. It's actually 3 different words put together: entertain and ment. Each one of them has a separate meaning that when taken together gives us some more insight into what entertainment is all about. So enter means enter or between. All right. Tain means, it comes from tenere, which means to hold. And finally, ment is mind. So entertainment is about holding something in your mind or putting something in your mind for it to hold on to. That's what entertainment is all about. So media influences things, your thoughts and emotions about what you buy, your religious beliefs, your thoughts about beliefs in society and what you live, i.e. laws, patriotism, etc. Your political affiliations, how you see yourself and others, your self-identity, your cultural identity, your thoughts and beliefs about romance, dating, marriage, and family. There are a ton of people who are actually paid money to create media for you to consume, to create media that is going to influence your thoughts and your decisions. Some of these careers include marketers, public relations firms, advertising agencies, book and magazine publishers, psychiatrists, psychoanalysts, social anthropologists, and motivational researchers. In the past, these would be called priests and priesthoods, because they actually have a science to how to create media, how to use colors, images, sounds, and symbols to influence what you think and what you believe. And these are secret or sacred tactics that have been used since prehistoric times. All right. So the media's weapons of influence, it allows the exploiters an enormous additional benefit, which is the ability to manipulate without the appearance of manipulation. So what does that mean? This image, this image right here, just take a look at what I got here on the screen. It's an image of a man chasing another man. One guy's holding a knife and he's chasing a person who's attempting to get away from him. But you have the TV camera, which is only focused on one aspect of what's going on here. And it makes the person who is running away look as if they are the attacker. That is the power of the media. That is the power that it can show you a picture and direct your attention to certain things with the intention of deceiving you. That is how the news works, for instance, wherein we see certain things unfolding on the television and we don't know that there's additional information that might change how we're viewing what's going on. So it's important to understand this concept when it comes to creating media. So media is what is considered a weapon of influence. Exploiters can commission the power of these weapons for use against their targets while exerting little personal force. This last feature of the process allows the exploiters an additional benefit, the ability to manipulate without the appearance of manipulation. So what are weapons of influence? Well, things like social proof, liking, authority, sympathetic influence via ritual. So what's social proof? Social proof in an advertisement is choosy moms choose Jif. A social proof ad is designed to say, well, other moms think that our product or service is great, so you probably will too, right? Being a mother or being a parent, especially first-time parents, they often complain that there was no manual for how to raise a child. And so new mothers, new parents are particularly susceptible to this kind of advertising because it speaks to, well, other moms, it's something that other moms are doing, so it's okay. And so that's what the social proof says. Since other people that are like me are doing this thing, it's okay for me to do it as well. All right. The next weapon they use is authority. Did you know that at one time in America, when they were advertising cigarettes, they were having doctors do the advertisements to let people know that cigarettes were safe and effective? They were sometimes even, called healthy, that there was all kinds of health benefits that they would have paid doctors and clinics to provide what's called authority to show that, yes, an actual doctor says that this product is safe. So go ahead and use it. All right. That's a form of a social media weapon. Liking is another form of that. So what do I mean by liking? It means that because you like the person that is on the cover, you like what they do, you like how they play basketball, you like how they sing songs, you like how they jump around in the Olympics. Because you like them, that positive association with liking the person or the celebrity gets attached to the product that they're selling. Another form of social media manipulation is when a celebrity is giving you some type of direction for how to act in society, how to vote, how to pick your politicians, how to pick a political party, how to join a union, or something of this nature. It's like when a celebrity asks you to do something, your liking of them influences your belief about the situation, and thereby it manipulates your actions. So let's just keep peeling back the layers of this onion. Do I have any questions, comments, concerns? Let me take a look over here. We don't have no questions. Moonfeather says Dick Gregory was talking about what danger it is when the universe picks you and you put on the magic glasses. He sure did say that, and that's a real thing. When you put on it is a thing. It's funny that how true that is, that when you can see things and other people cannot see them, and you're like, hey, it's right there, look, let me show it to you, and it's like they literally can't see what it is that you can see on some level. So yeah, Dick Gregory did never lie about that. And it's something that everybody who is blessed to have a pair of those glasses, that's something that they all have to come to terms with on their own. Is that you're the one who is given the glasses, so it's up to, you're the one who is able to see. Trying to convince other people what it is that you see, that's problematic. So let's see. We have any more questions. Go ahead, bro.
Now, I was disagreeing with you severely. You know what I mean? It's the gift and curse of perspective is a mother. One reason why Dick Gregory was able to thrive so long was because he was doing it through the veil of comedy, where
Yeah.
you're allowed to be provocative, you're allowed to be racist, you're allowed to be all of these different things that on most other platforms and mediums is just not allowed. And I think that makes it more potent, especially when you read his books.
For sure. He was definitely using the art of being the minstrel, the art of playing the fool. That's an ancient tactic, that goes back to, kings and queens. And when you had the fool, jumping around, telling jokes about the king or telling jokes about the nobility. And he was the one who can get away with it, whereas anyone else would be, could be murdered or assassinated on the spot. So that's very much an art form of the conscious to play the fool.
Well, that's why my favorite knight was always Percival. Percival wanted to be a knight in King Arthur's court, and he asked his mother to make him a suit of armor. And because they were poor, their father had, her husband, his father had died. She didn't have the money for that. So the best she could do was make him a fool's outfit. And, he looked at what, you want to get me laughed out of the king's court? She's like, exactly. Like you're not understanding the power I'm actually giving you. Because of that, he was able to get next to the king and actually become a knight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's not always about how you want to look. Sometimes it's about utilizing what's been given to you and just being your authentic self. And that will always put you where you need to be.
Ashe. That's right. Ashe. All right. So continuing to dig, or, dig into these layers about symbols, media, and, how it works to influence what you believe. They use symbols, which work on multiple levels. There are at least two messages in most types of media. All right. And so what we need to understand is that there are more than one thing going on at the same time, right? When I'm talking about this stuff. So it's media is a form of coded language, which on the surface, there's something there for you to see: the shiny color, the big words, the sexy images. That's emotional gratification. The second thing that's going on is the subliminal. And that's usually based on fear versus love or pain versus pleasure. These things attach and latch on to your subconscious reasons for your behaviors. All right. So subliminal means below the level of which something can be perceived. All right. And the effect, what these things are designed to affect is your self-esteem, what you think about beauty, what you think about yourself, your ego, or your desire to procreate. Get busy with some, get busy procreating. All right. Or desires and or your desires. So we talked about subliminal messages, that they're below the threshold of your sensation or consciousness. There's two ways in which subliminal messages can be sent to your unconscious mind: visually and auditorially. This is done in modern times through movies, television, internet, smartphones, advertisements, and music. Social engineering. Let me go back and talk about this person right here, Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays was a psychologist, and he wrote this book called Propaganda. What this book is a study of is how to influence people without them knowing that you're influencing them through the media. So he created, or was able to use, some psychological principles. He's actually kin to Sigmund Freud. I believe there was an uncle nephew type relationship between these two men. But Edward Bernays was very well versed in the psychology of the day, and he used those techniques blended with his knowledge of graphic design and publishing and media advertising design. And he came up with these systems for manipulating people, what people thought about goods, products, services, politics, etc., how to influence those things without people knowing that they were being influenced. One of the major weapons that he came up with is something called the illusion of choice. Bernays was the first to theorize that people could be made to want things that they did not need by appealing to their unconscious desires, i.e., to be free or to be successful or to be wanted sexually. Bernays believed that propaganda, was necessary for the functioning of a society, as otherwise people would be overwhelmed with too many choices. So basically, that's why they would come up with certain advertisements telling you, like, what's the best toilet paper to use. There's dozens of different kinds of toilet paper when you go to the supermarket. With his idea is that we tell them which one is the best one. We have to come up with some way or some means or character to get people to think about our toilet paper when you go into the market. So one of the ads from the old school was the Charmin, Mr. Don't squeeze the Charmin, became a thing. And that was like a big ad back in the day for Charmin toilet paper. And it was about this creepy old dude. He would be in the market, and if somebody will walk up to one of the packages of the toilet paper and they would squeeze it a little bit to see if it was soft or not. And then this creepy, guy who worked at the market would pop out from nowhere and tell them not to squeeze it, because it's so soft. It's guaranteed to be soft on you. So you don't need to squeeze it, type of thing. That became a very popular advertisement, which drove millions of dollars of revenue over, several years, because it was able to get into people's subconscious minds to the point where they believed that Charmin toilet paper was the better toilet paper because of how soft it was. All right. Bernays further theorized that demands for goods, products, and services could be created. So basically, like, you don't even know you need this stuff I'm about to sell you, but I can create a need for you. That's how advertisement works. So to get back to the illusion of choice, why do we call it the illusion of choice? Because even though, now there are 1,500 newspapers, 1,100 different magazines, 9,000 radio stations, 1,500 TV stations, 2,400 publishers, and they're all owned by only 6 corporations. And it may be less by now due to corporate consolidation. So all the different ads that you see, all the different, TV shows, different networks that you think that you're watching, they're controlled by only 6 different corporations. Those are the gatekeepers to the information that all of us get to acquire. 6 different corporations control everything that the people see, hear, and experience in media. And that's a big deal, because people wonder, like, well, how does this happen? How can you do it? How can they coordinate, the message for how they're going to control what it is that we think? Well, they do it through the 6 corporations that act as the gatekeepers for all the various different companies, magazines, media, books that we read, the education that we experience. So this creates the illusion of choice. It's like going to the the fast food restaurant that has KFC and Pizza Hut in the same building. It's not it's the illusion of choice, because you're not choosing between 2 different companies. Both KFC and Pizza Hut are owned by the same people, so it's the same stuff. There's no choice there. It's just an illusion that you're choosing one thing over another. That's the concept that we're talking about.
Right. And then it even gets lower than that, right? Because in recent years, we've come down to the understanding that it's actually 2 the two largest companies in the world are BlackRock and Vanguard, and they own everything. So the illusion, you can really see it. I remember the campaign for Charmin that you brought up, and one way that you can make any and everything work for you, especially when you control media, is if you own everything, you can not only gauge how well your message is working, but you can see how well it's not, i.e., anybody who bought any and everything other than Charmin. So you can gauge the level of dissension. You see what I mean?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You could tell, who's falling in line with it, who's on board, or who thinks it's social behaviors like that become social norms, which means that the normal people are doing it. Everybody that's normal says that, yeah, Charmin is the best, and you're crazy for using anything else. Like, it's beyond question. That's how, certain things become social norms in our society. Because the media teaches us, it does teach us individual culture, behavior patterns, right? So it teaches things like how to act in public, how to respond to outrage. And when I say how to respond to outrage, a great example of that would be a few years ago with the Colin Kaepernick thing. There was quite a bit of discussion about how the players were supposed to respond to being, outraged, and that there were some people who thought it was offensive that there were players who were taking a knee during the national anthem, and there were some people who believed that their response was either too much or it was not enough. But there was quite a bit of social commentary about how to respond to outrage, and that was a form of manipulating of cultural behavioral patterns. Because quite frankly, taking a knee during a football game for something as outrageous and offensive as police brutality resulting in death is, not, it's not the level of some of the previous responses that we've had to police violence against people in the community. We don't, taking a knee was not, something where we're thinking of as a viable solution. We were doing more boots on the ground. Let's go talk about the legislation. Let's go debate about it. Let's go argue about it. Let's see if we can make some changes to the legislation. Let's see if we can take command of the House, the Congressional House. Let's see, we were doing things far more politically active than simply talking about taking a knee and who's mad about it. Right. So that's what I mean about how the media influences your behavior patterns, how you react to racism, how you act in your community, how you behave in relationships, how you raise your children. All these things have been affected by the media. And they use things like, for social programming, they use things like stereotypes. And a stereotype is a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. It's a thought that can be adopted about specific types of individuals or certain ways of doing things. These thoughts or beliefs may or may not accurately reflect reality. These influence thoughts or beliefs about people, cultures, religions, and beliefs that are repeated over and over again. Right? So what major stereotypes? Black people like Kool-Aid and chicken, good old chicken, right? That's a cultural stereotype. We have stereotypes about people who act white or act black. There's gender-based stereotypes about women. There's religious stereotypes, political, class. A stereotype is really just a ritual, right? So by definition, a ritual is designed to control somebody's power, control somebody or something's power, or to direct that power or to redirect that power. So you have the Christian ritual of hanging the Christ on the cross, and the two Marys are at his feet catching his blood. And then you have on the left panel, this is another ritualistic image of the same thing or the same concept, where the Christ is being risen up, or the key of life, the eye of consciousness is being raised up on the Jed pillar, which is symbolic of the human body and the spine. And then there's the two Marys, or Isis and Nebuchadnezzar, on either side. This is an image. The original image of the Egyptians is about raising your Christ consciousness up high and activating it. The Christian stereotype, or the Christian ritual, is them raising the physical body of the Christ up high as it dies. One is a symbol of life and consciousness being raised up. The other is a symbol of life and consciousness being murdered and killed. So that's a ritual. It's designed to, one is one of happiness and consciousness coming online. One is a very sad occasion, and it's an occasion to grieve, right? It's the same concept, very similar symbols, but one is positive and one is negative. One is going about the energy going up, and the other is about the energy going down. All right, so you don't have to kind of skip over some of the stuff about rituals, right? But I do want to get into something called sympathetic influence in media, and how that affects what you believe. Sympathetic influence is correspondence based on the idea that one can influence something based on its relationship or resemblance to another thing. And that the theme is repeated. What you think you are, you become. All right. So an example of that is to show a picture of a powerful black man holding a gun, right? Through the principle of sympathetic magic, if I'm a black man, this image appeals to me on some levels, right? There's some certain people who are able to see this image and to see themselves in it. That's the idea of creating a sympathetic correspondence between stereotypical images and the person that's viewing the stereotypical image, right? To an impressionable youth who doesn't know who they are, who has lost their own sense of self-identity, they may be in search of an identity. And the idea for creating an image like this is to influence those people who are in search of an identity. So if some of the things that he has on, the diamond cross chain, the fashionable gun holster, the Glock, the head, the powerful muscles, if that person can see themselves in that image, this image becomes a sort of a symbol for them, for something to aspire to or a way to act. That's how powerful these images are, and that's how these images are created. They didn't just come up happenstance. There were art directors involved, there were photographers involved, there were graphic designers involved, there are media editors involved who decide what image gets created, what symbols they want to use, what kind of clothes, what kind of weaponry you want to use, what kind of headdress, what kind of headscarf, all of that stuff. None of this stuff is just happenstance. All of these things are purposeful, and they are put in certain places to have high impact. So this image was created and placed in ads in magazines. And the ads in the magazines were hip hop based magazines like the Source magazine, Double XL magazine, Vibe magazine, where they advertised, this type of culture. This is considered to be a hip hop culture, rap culture, gangster rap culture type of an image, and is designed to appeal to a certain type of individual. But what's that? If we were wearing the magic glasses, if we had put on the magic glasses from They Live, this image would say you are a threat and a killer. That's the subliminal message behind this image. So, real quick, 5 things you didn't know. You probably didn't know about Hollywood. Some of you are, you know, a lot of you in Konami Code's sphere, you know, are very familiar with these things. But just as a quick overview for people who are not, there were, you know, Hollywood is based on holly is actual was an actual type of wood, and it was used by druids to cast spells. So, first of all, Hollywood is based on a real type of wood that was used to create magic wands to cast and create spells. And druids were known to use it, right? So Hollywood is very intimately, I said all that to say that Hollywood is at its inception designed to create illusions, designed to create things which require the suspension of your belief, which means we go into movie theaters to watch things that are not true, but that we get sucked into the story and believing that what we're seeing on the screen is actually happening. And this is absolutely where sympathetic rituals and associations happen in the movies, and it's done once again on purpose. Once upon a time, they said that there was some science done. I don't have the guy's name right in front of me, but there was some research done in movie theaters where it was mind control experiments to see whether or not placing subliminal or very quick images or very short images into the films would have an influence on the audience. And so there was some experimentation done where they would splice in a couple of clips of, like, for instance, Pepsi Cola or popcorn. And it was said that when they would flash these frames that were, you know, they only flashed them for a moment. So there's 24 frames per second. They would maybe put in a picture of Pepsi Cola and some popcorn for 1 or 2 of those frames, which nobody's going to notice 1 frame out of 24 frames per second. But supposedly your subliminal mind still catches that. And it was said that during this experimentation that people would get up and go purchase Pepsi Cola and popcorns, you know, based on them being flashed those subliminal images during the movie, right? And so later on, some years later, they said that they debunked that research, and that the person who claimed to do that, it was actually some fraudulent things going on. But I can tell you unequivocally that subliminal messages in movies work. And they work in movies, they work in advertisements, they work in television. There's decades of research that backs up those assertions that subliminal messages absolutely have an effect on how you think and behave. I spent a lot of, you know, my early years, I spent more than 20 years in the graphic design and publishing industry. And I myself, by myself, studied several ways of how to influence people's purchasing decisions and what they think is good by using colors, images, and design. That's what graphic design is all about. Good graphic designers make designs that people want to pick up and use. So I'm a graphic designer. I make and design things with the goal of making you want to buy it, right? Flat out. So there's ads that affect things like your self-esteem. See this pretty young girl, she doesn't have a flaw on her face, right? And then you know, the ad is join me in the battle against aging. So some of the primary targets of this kind of media, the weapons of mass distraction, are women. And they are attacked relentlessly with things that are supposed to be helpful, or, you know, they're advertised as being very helpful. Things like facial creams to, you know, to help to smooth the wrinkles, right? Well, this is an actual attack against the self-esteem of women, right? It affects how you view yourself, what you think of as pretty, what you think is handsome, too fat, too skinny. It leverages your fear. It leverages, well, if I have wrinkles, they're not going, they're going to think I look old and therefore not attractive. So let me buy this product that's going to, soothe the wrinkles. That is, that'll, it actually activates all that subliminal stuff we've been talking about this evening. So even in movies like, to go back to movies and stereotypes, there's the popular trope of the light-skinned girl versus the dark-skinned girl in a lot of movies. And so a prime movie that had that stereotype in it was one of my favorite movies still to this day, Coming to America. Well, the stereotype goes that the dark-skinned girl is the more promiscuous one, which they certainly used in the movie Coming to America, where the dark-skinned girl, she's all super hypersexual. She even tries to seduce the light-skinned girl's boyfriend. While the light-skinned girl is shown as being smart and intelligent and full of wisdom and goodness, she's the more chaste of the two. That's the stereotype of the light-skinned girl is the better choice than the dark-skinned girl. That's a trope that gets used in movies, and sometimes it's done in a very sneaky manner. It's often done in a comical way so that, we don't see it, but here it is right in front of your face, the stereotype that the light-skinned girl is the better choice than the dark-skinned girl, based on like, the dark-skinned girl is more primal. She's more wild. When the queen to be from the movie, came out, the original dark-skinned girl, she comes out there, it's like, whoa, 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 monkey sounds and people jumping all around. And it was a beautiful dance, but they showed her as being the more savage queen, the more natural. She comes from, they're jumping around and doing all these, stereotypically primitive activities. And the Prince Akeem is not impressed. He's not impressed with this. He wants something else. He wants the modern woman. So the modern, sophisticated woman, she's the American woman and she's light skinned. That's the one he wants. He doesn't want the dark skinned savage. He wants the light skinned sophisticate, is the message behind that if you put on the magic glasses. Right? But go ahead, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole joint on Coming to America. I swear. Coming to America was, and we keep hitting on this theme of 88 in this Earth Dragon, because that was 88 as well. What's crazy about what you just said, and I'm not going to give too much away right here because we are going to come back to this. If everybody looks at the bottom left picture of the bathers standing in front of the door and the mural, if you remember at the very beginning of Coming to America, when they're walking in Prince Hakim's room, if you pay very close attention to the mural on the wall, you'll see the story of creation and destruction. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now. Please continue.
How about that? Yeah, man. Yeah. We could definitely do a whole show on just Coming to America, just the occult symbolism, so much stuff. It was bananas. I love Eddie Murphy and the movies he put out, because he definitely goes hard with occult themes in his movies, especially a lot of his earlier movies. He was, whoever was handling his career at that time was putting him in a lot of very occult movies. But moving on. So once upon a time in ads, it wasn't about, like now everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody's on the weight loss pill or wants to get the weight loss pill or Ozempic or whatever. But once upon a time, they were having ads that women wanted to gain weight. And this is what the ads look like. Men wouldn't look at me when I was skinny. But since I gained 10 pounds, this new easy way, I have all the dates I want. Right. So the ads are now, at this time are convincing women that they'll be more attractive if they weigh more, to be more curvaceous. And so you can just kind of see like that versus this. You know, now they want to literally melt away pounds in, in weeks. I lost 39 pounds fast with hydroxycut. Lose weight, feel great now. You shred and look better naked. I mean, so they definitely have changed the message of the products they want to sell. Nobody's selling get fat products now because that's in the food, right? The get fat products are the biggie meal at McDonald's. That's the get fat product. Now, though, they want to sell you all kind of medicines and pills and exercise equipment to melt away the pounds because that's what's going to make you look better. So you can kind of see that's obvious programming right there. So how do these messages activate? They activate when you are under stress, when you get an unexpected windfall, such as win the lottery, taxes, or inheritance. Those people who win the lottery, get some kind of unexpected taxes or some kind of inheritance out the blue, they tend to ball out as soon as they get the money and buy everything that is trapped in their subconscious mind. And within a year or less, they're broke, right? Because all those subliminal messages activated. So there's some messages that some of this stuff doesn't activate until you have a certain amount of resources. So that's just something to bear in mind, right? They also activate when you're afraid, when making relationship decisions, in arguments with others, when you're unsure of your future goals or plans, when you're feeling guilty, when you're in social situations, when you're in the club. Ever see anybody when their song comes on in the club? They act like a whole different person than the person that you came there with, right? Because media influences behavior and influences your desire to consume goods, services, media, food, cars, perfume, clothing, electronic goods. It's called subliminal desire programming or product placement, right? So product placement, Run DMC selling Adidas. That was one of the first songs I used to jam to as a child in elementary school. My Adidas. I wanted some so bad just because these three black men was singing about it, and they had the most popular song, right? My Adidas. They did it several other times. The economic impact of hip hop and rap on in marketing and subliminal messaging, they realized the power of it immediately, and they started coming out with songs back to back to back that at the time, as a young person, I'm just jamming to it. I don't know that it's a form of programming. What's another programming song that they use? Beepers by Sir Mix-a-Lot was another programming subliminal song that, for one, the only thing I knew about beepers when that song came out was that doctors used them. After the song came out, everybody wanted a beeper because Sir Mix-a-Lot broke down what beepers was, what hood dudes was using them for, what hood girls was using them for, and why it was good to have a beeper, right? So they did it again and again. Nelly, his shoe, Air Force Ones. I mean, it just got crazy over time. There's so many hip hop artists and celebrities who back all these different kinds of products now. It's obvious that they're able to use them as a form of social influence, once again, to control what you believe about these products and to ultimately control your behavior and your spending behavior. So, just real quick, products and brands most mentioned in rap. This is a short list right here. Mercedes-Benz, Lexus, Maybach, Gucci, Bentley, BMW, Nike, Range Rover, Rolex, Versace, Moschino, Glock, Porsche, Lamborghini, Tom Ford, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Saint Laurent, Chanel, Givenchy, Cools, True Religion, beer, malt liquor, Cavassier, and vodka. Right? Who doesn't remember that Ice Cube was selling us St. Ides malt liquor? I remember. And he was telling us how good it was and how cool it would make us look to be drinking it. So they've been using this on us for a very long time, right? This is some higher end. This is product placement. James Bond, people who are on his level tend to like the things that he likes. And if they have the money to afford it, they're going to be buying things like the Benz, the Bentley, the Rolex watch. You know, who doesn't like Jamie Foxx? But cleverly, he's using an Apple computer that was injected into a movie. They spend millions of dollars to put these products in our face in just in movies, right? And we think they're social norms. What we believe about the products gets influenced because somebody that we know and love or think is funny is using the product or service that they're advertising to us.
You ain't lying. I wear Chuck Taylors to this day because I saw Mr. T wearing, and because I can find them in my size, but you know, still.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, they're great products. Some of the, you know, it's not that these things are not great products. It's not that they're not cool. That's the thing. You know, it might be something cool, and you do want to sell it. That's how you sell things. You know, you have a cool idea, a cool product, something that people are going to like. Well, how do you get other people to want it as well? You get somebody that is well known and somebody that's popular to wear it and make other people realize just how good your product is, you know. So we're not always talking about something sinister or something that's going to actually bring physical harm to you. What my presentation is about tonight is just bringing awareness to all the different ways that the things that we believe is being manipulated, and to be more aware of the manipulation. By becoming more aware of the manipulation and how it works, why people are attempting to manipulate us, that empowers us to be able to make better decisions and to be able to break free from the manipulation, to be able to make decisions without being manipulated about them. So, I mean, just where's the rubber meet the road? A whole lot of political manipulation is going on as we're talking about the different political parties, Republicans versus Democrats versus independents, things that are going on in the world, the war against Palestine, and the people over there, some of the horrific things that are going on in the Congo. There's a lot of things that's going on, and there is a war for our attention about it now. It's a war for what we believe, what we think, who's doing the right thing, who's going to do the right thing, who can help us, who's going to lead the country. There's a lot of conversations being had, and there's all of it's manipulation, all of it. And so that being the case, I wanted to share this information about how the media is used to manipulate what we believe about certain things, because I believe in showing people how to think, and not telling them what to think. I'm not going to tell you what to think about politics or what to think about one party versus the next. I just want to call your attention to the manipulation that's being done on all sides, and to encourage you to look beyond that. That's my goal, right? Because the media is powerful, and sometimes we take it for granted just how powerful it is, and we allow them to set the agenda for us when it comes to what we think about, what we talk about, and the things we're going to take action on.
Most definitely. It's election years should be much more telling than they actually are, because politicians look at the populace, the voting populace, and not just voting. Useless eaters, that term gets thrown around a lot, whether you're Democratic or Republican or independent. But they don't pay attention to you until an election year. You're not important. You don't matter. You don't count. They don't even talk to you. They're not going to walk around, shake your hand, come to your establishment, fake like they care about your greens or your music, your vinyl, or nothing else. You know what I'm saying? You ain't black. You don't vote for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea that somebody can tell you who you are, especially when they don't look nothing like you,
Yeah.
means that they think that you're stupid because you act inherently like you're stupid. So if
Yeah.
somebody don't come around when when you need them or when it's important or when it's cool, but then when they need something, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? I ain't trying to hear it. Me personally, I've never voted and I never will. So that leads into another kind of psychosis. But election years can do a lot for one's perspective if we just understand how information can be manipulated and how and when people deem you worthy to be, communicated to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, like you said, it's about, this time of year, they want to have greens with you. They want to, we making greens in the tub, girl. Like, get the fuck, get out of here with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get your favorite rapper to sing and dance about how you need to be voting for me. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just the ridiculosity of it all that, I find it offensive. I find it offensive how manipulative that the whole situations have become and just how obvious they are being about it. But I'm also seeing, people spending their mental energy arguing about, you know, certain points that are being put in front of them that is completely a socially designed construct. It's something completely, it's like, designed to have people paying attention to something else when there's something more serious going on and needs some action and attention and action. But instead of the conversation being about that, it's some obvious pandering, it's some obvious manipulation, it's some obvious propaganda that gets the headlines. Everybody, the main headline, of course, is P. Diddy and his empire of evil and his 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That gets to be the soundbite, that gets to be what people are talking about, thinking about, making comedy skits about. I mean, so much time and energy is being spent on that, and there's action needed for things that are going on right now in other areas of the world that we're totally not paying attention to because we're also busy laughing and saying "I told you so." Even the conscious among us, right now, a lot of them are engaged in a whole lot of "I told you so." We told you, we was the ones who told you this years ago. We was the ones to let you know. Like, I mean, I get it. I get it. That's the trickery that's going on. So that's why it's important to call this kind of stuff out to the class and let's talk about it. So we can take more control over the media that we're watching and take more notice of its influence over us. That's what I feel is important at this time. Because media makes us food for the rich. Like, literally, they eat what you believe. They make money off of what you believe, right? All your energy, thoughts, feelings, and emotions and currency feeds the agenda of the ruling elite. Remember that power flows where attention goes. Never forget that. Never forget that power goes where, your power flows where your attention goes. That is a primal aspect of magic. What you put your attention on is where you're sending your power to. You go to school to get programming, to get a job, start a business, and then you buy stuff or pay to live. Heat, gas, lights, food, water, shelter, etc. You either agree with the system or you don't, but the key is you either agree or disagree in a controlled manner. The idea is they want you to control how you act in their system. The currency generated by the manipulation of your consciousness is limitless. That's why they literally can print money. They can print money because we believe in it. All right. This is a ritual. It was a ritual that was done several years ago when they were doing more programming. I think this actually came before the Colin Kaepernick programming. This program was for people to protest. I think it was it George Floyd being choked out? And people started laying down at various, events in protest, laying down with shirts on that says "I can't breathe." That was one of the most horrifying rituals I have ever seen, because it was a death ritual. And it was a ritual designed to get people to lay down in a death simulation as a form of protest. I saw it. I know several other people in the conscious community saw this as well. This is a form of sympathetic magic, which results in literal death. When people pretend to die, it creates a sympathetic resonance that can lead to actual death and people not being able to breathe. This is a horrible way to protest. Never do this. Never act like you're, unless you're doing some death rituals, don't go and don't go to a protest about life and living and saving life and lay down and act like you're dead. We should never see this type of political form of rebellion ever again, because this is just a ritual, actually. And it's designed to kill the participants and the people who look like them. All right, so these kind of shirts, I can't breathe. Once again, where your attention goes, your power flows. Never make negative affirmations, never say negative things about yourself, because your mind it doesn't know the difference. You're saying, you walk around with an "I can't breathe" shirt on, or saying "I can't breathe." That's not good. That's not good to do. So, all right. Let's see where we're at. How much time we got left, good brother?
That depends on you, sir.
Well, sheesh Louise. I think I think we really got to the gist of it. I mean, I could always keep going about different kinds of media and how it's used to manipulate what we think or feel. But I feel like at this point, I think I got the message across, and that people understand the concept. Do you have any questions, or do you think there's anything else I should need to touch on real quick?
Well, I would love to get your opinion on this. You mentioned P. Diddy. That's a very hot topic for a lot of reasons. We're continuously seeing these dominoes fall. Mind you, we literally just entered fall. I'm not even going to get into all that, because that's another rabbit hole. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, just got indicted. And it's interesting when you look at his numerology. He's born September 1st, 1960, which makes him an 8 life path, right? He's born in Brownsville, New York, Brooklyn. He's an 8 life path in a 9 personal year. So you're getting a very good idea of what that can look like. 9, while it is, to me, above all, about adaptability, it is also about ending and rebirth. So, just being connected to Sean Puffy Combs, Diddy, whatever you want to call him, has become detrimental. You see a lot of people being quiet because they don't have much of a choice. And it's so telling, because a lot of these people had these loud, boisterous voices before everything started going down. So, I want people to pay attention to where your attention is being drawn and who's trying to force your attention. Because All of that is spiritual. It's just about how you choose to view it. How you choose to see a thing, there's nothing more powerful.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to, that whole Diddy thing, like people do have to bear in mind. And I think people are. I think what's really amazing about this thing is that it actually is causing some people to look at, like, just what the hell have I been listening to this whole time? You know what I mean? There's a lot more people that are like, they're going back over the videos, watching them again, and like, wait a minute, I didn't see that. I didn't see this. I didn't know they were doing that. So it is causing, some people to look again at, especially my generation. We're the ones who were singing and dancing to all the Puff Daddy's hits, P did, you know what I'm saying? Every artist in his catalog, I bought their CD, listened to their music, did ballroom dance to it, was shaking my ass to it, having sex to it, driving and smoking and drinking to it. Every single album, man. So I was with it, so we all have to examine our own participation in what we're thinking about as entertainment, and we can all see that the games was a whole lot more serious than we was being led to believe. That they were doing some things that, while they singing and dancing about all the promiscuity that they're able to have, and it seemed to us that they was able to get away with it. Like, they live in a whole different world where they're able to, fuck bitches, drink all the drinks, smoke all the smokes, snort all the cokes, drive all the whips, and it's no repercussions, there's no fallout from that. And surprise, surprise, they drugging people, they're extorting them, they hold people out of windows, they're doing all the worst things. Meanwhile, we listening to the soundtrack and having a great time. And all this, abuse is going on of the people that we're listening to. All the people that we know and love are abusing and being abused. And, we need to look at that. We definitely need to examine our participation. Even I stepped in the name of love. I don't know how many times I stepped in the name of love with R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these genius musicians involved in, all these elaborate rituals that most people are just now becoming aware of these hip hop rituals. Brother, I'm gonna pull the book out right now. Professor Griff wrote this book called The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop years ago.
Classic.
He dropped the science, he dropped the receipts, he dropped all the information about all these hip hop cats, rap cats that was doing all this dirty behind the scenes activity. He talked about the homosexual agenda in hip hop, and they laughed him off the stage. They got the Sandman to come grab him off the stage. Like, we don't want to hear that. Like, there's no such thing as an agenda. There's no such thing. Puff Daddy they got 1,000 bottles of baby oil out this man's house. They was having so much, to the point where he was telling the truth, exposing how that they were extorting our heroes, how they were extorting Michael Jackson, how they extorted Prince, how they was extorting Whitney Houston, how they were, she sang that song years ago, no matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. And they was like, hold my drink. Let me show you how I'm gonna take away your dignity. You know what I mean? Like, we watched that live and in color, and we even had prophets. We had people that was in the industry come out and tell us what was going on, and we wasn't paying no attention. We thought they was just conspiracy theories, and they're making this stuff up. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Now everybody know and can see that it wasn't information that was being made up. These people really were, their careers are being manipulated, and they're being held by, dangled on a string. And in order to sing and dance in front of us, they have to be horribly raped, humiliated, and everything else, just to be initiated into that world so they can present us with entertainment. And that's how the entertainment, that's how the manipulation gets injected into the entertainment, and we don't even know it. We're listening to people who've been traumatized before they even get to the microphone. And that their trauma transfers directly to us, the participant. That's what this is about. That's why we need to learn this information, because it is people like P. Diddy that are injecting very harmful ideas into our society. They have injected the idea that black men and black women can't get along, that the passport bros can't get along with the city girls, and we can't get it together as a people. All of these things are programs that they're running, and they're being run with the purpose of keeping us apart from one another, and they're being run with the purpose of keeping us from focusing on the one thing we should be believing in, and that's us. That's our rise. That's your rise, for activating all the gifts that you have inside of you. All of us have all this psychic energy. All of us have chakra power, mental power, imagination power, physical power. And what they really are keeping us away from is developing that, is developing our potential. Our endless potential, our limitless potential is being wasted because of the programming of, that's affecting our beliefs. That's got us singing and dancing to murder and death and degradation and disrespect.
I think all of that is true. And to that, I would like to add, this is why knowledge itself is so important, because all of that is only able to happen when you're ignorant about who you are, what you've done, and what you're able to do. The idea of celebrity and how it's been used, how it's been sold, how it's been pushed, watching that crumble is incredibly satisfying, right? You can understand why you have platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter that people can excel on just for being who they are. I don't care what you're into, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're being your authentic self. But in the realm of celebrity, you have people who will, for example, you can have a woman who's a lesbian and a man who's gay, and they can get married and they can have children and not touch each other, but you think they're the happiest couple in the world because that's the image and that's the idea and the narrative that's being pushed to you, and nothing could be further from the truth. You're seeing that crumble in real time. When it comes to the idea of transgender and how long this has been a thing, let me give you an idea of, or an example of what you mentioned before, Hero, when you were talking about, people may see things, but because of the wave of unconsciousness is essentially drowned out. You look at Notorious B.I.G., right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Big Papa video, there was a very popular transsexual who is said to have been Hype Williams' personal, whatever the term would be, partner. Hype Williams had that person in all the Bad Boy videos, from LL Cool J's Flavor in Your Ear remix, you know what I'm saying? Craig, Matt, B.I.G., you name it. Even Biggie's video for Warning, that was the one who was in the bed. But this is the one who you saw standing up at the urinal peeing. Yeah. This is the one who you saw Busta Rhymes talking to when Big walked up and stole her. And then Bus gets mad and looks at the camera and kind of breaks the fourth wall. Nobody, I saw that shit.
Freaking Easter eggs, right?
You know what I'm saying? But that's Busta Rhymes. He this, that, and the third. Rah, rah, rah. That don't mean what you think it means.
It don't mean what it means. That's right. Well, there it goes. The power of knowing this stuff is being able to see it. You just said it. Some people have been able to see that since way back then. They seen that like, hey, what the heck? Who is that? Like, And then even to the point where, like I said, all of this stuff has a lot of people re-examining what we've been watching. That's what I really love the most, because I do see a lot more people going back to those old videos and re-examining them, and even listening to some of the lyrics. Like, wait, what did he say? He did say that. He did say that. Like, like he been saying it the whole time, kind of thing, and I just wasn't listening. That's what a lot of us are learning, that a lot of these people was even doing the things that we're accusing them of, or that they're being accused of. They've been doing it in broad daylight, and people were simply not paying attention. They just thought it was entertainment. That's the trick. The trickery of entertainment is that people think that it's just the entertainment is fake. They think that what's going on is, it's always something else. That's the power of entertainment, because there's so much trickery and illusions are created. It's designed to be like, oh, it's fake. It's okay. They not, that action movie. We know the dude didn't just jump off the building and shoot 10 guys and then land on his feet. We know that. It's the movies, right? So we go in there thinking that it's fake, but that's the perfect time to add some real stuff. While our belief is suspended, then they can add some things that, get us to act and behave in ways, or to become blind to certain activities that are going on. That's how, all this secret pedophilia can go on live TV. We're watching grown men, grown women with children on television, and it's okay. We think it's okay because it's entertainment, but surprise, surprise, they're using it to sleep with the babies. So same thing with the rap and hip hop. We think it's okay. They just partying and dancing. They young. They doing their thing. They can do it without rip. Surprise, surprise. They've been so traumatized and hurt and abused. All of our favorites. Oh man, Crisscross, man. I'll be so sad thinking about what they did to Crisscross. You know what I mean? Like just how they abused these kids. These are my favorite kids. I was jumping around. I thought that was the best thing in the world. They turned the kids out, got them all set on drugs. One of the kids even killed himself. I mean, all my Disney favorites. I was watching Hannah Montana with my son, with my kids. I thought that was, like, oh, this is great. Family fun, family friendly entertainment. They raping a little girl. You know what I mean? Like, golly. So
it goes to lengths, you know what I mean? What's the dude? Corey Feldman, you know what I'm saying? Corey Haim.
That's right, man. You're right. That'd be so sad. I'd be thinking about them, like, and they was even trying to tell people. They tried so hard. Like, man, I couldn't believe that. I could not believe it with Corey Haim when he was telling them stories, like what they was doing to him, and they played him like, I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe to this day how they treated them. But so many of our favorites. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. You see, that's the power of symbolism, right? And this is why, in terms of the elite, one thing you'll hear is symbolism will be their downfall, right? Because they have no choice but to use symbolism, because that's the only powerful language they actually have, right?
Yeah.
We saw this proof in the Georgia Guidestones that got destroyed a couple of years ago, right? So if you look at movies like The Goonies, for example, right, it doesn't get any more popular 80s movies than The Goonies, right? But The Goonies was a movie that was literally all about child sex trafficking. The entire movie. They even showed you, I don't want to get too graphic, but if you watch that movie, you'll notice that Corey Felder, he was constantly getting shot in the face with liquid. That's about the best way I can say that, especially in the scene where they were underneath the bathroom in the mall. And there were all these pipes, but he's the one that keeps getting shot in the face. Like they showed you that a couple of times throughout the movie. Like it goes watch it again. I recommend for anybody, watch that movie again, and you might be surprised what you actually see.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. But that's, once again, that's why it's important to understand the symbolism of media, calling attention to it. There's ways to break the spell. So let's go over that real quick and then I'll be done. Breaking the spell is just becoming literate in the language of media. Get yourself a good dictionary. Oddly enough, learning history and mythology will help you to decode the media. And then use the tools. Be discerning and discriminating in your choices of entertainment. Learn how to decode the symbols, numbers, and colors of media. All right. Realize that imagination is the ability to form a mental image of something that is not perceived through the senses. It's a creative skill worth developing. When we're watching all these TV and social media, they are beaming these images right into our heads, right? And it circumnavigates your imagination. Our imaginations are far more powerful than any image that could be created for us. That's why people spend so much time and effort in an effort to manipulate our imaginations, because what we imagine has the power to become real if it's not real already, right? That's a very powerful concept that I cannot overstate. All successful men, women are big dreamers. They imagine what their future could be, ideal in every respect, and then they work every day toward their distant vision, that goal or purpose. The ideas that I'm talking about is that your imagination can, there is a pathway of going from something that's immaterial and that exists only in your mind to making that into a physical reality that exists in the material universe. That is a process that happens. It's a natural process that all of us as people, we the people have the power to do this. You could take something in your imagination and make it real. All right. It goes mind, word, action, reality. Those are the 4 steps. Mind, I think about it in my mind. I use my words to say it out loud. I take actions to create that thing in my reality. Those are the steps. And that's it, man. That's the most powerful thing that we can do to take control. As far as a book list for some information, if you want to get deeper into learning how to decode the media, here are some books that I recommend. Propaganda by Edward Bernays, Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard, Mind Control 101 by Dantalian Jones, Brainwashed, Challenging the Myth of Black Inferiority by Tom Burrell, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini, The ISIS Papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She's the one who told us about the agenda to destroy the Black male and female, our relationships, how we believe in ourselves and our people and our community. She laid out the media agenda, and as a matter of fact, she was one of the first people at a high academic level to call attention to the symbology used in movies, magazines, television shows, books. She was one of the first ones to say, no, there's really something to that. And that's what these symbols are designed to destroy what we think about ourselves. And here's how. She puts the how and the why as to why there are certain institutions, peoples, organizations that use these symbols to destroy our community. That's in the ISIS Papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. It's a classic in the conscious community. The Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No. Please go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the next great book to have is the Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols by Adele Nozadar. From the Browder File by Anthony T. Browder. He's another one of our academic decoders who has been on the case, been on the job for a very long time, revealing information about how the media is used to influence our minds and to work mischief in our communities. And last but not least is Dirty Little Secrets by Dr. Claude Anderson. He's also put out several other books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth, I believe is the name of the other book. He put out several books about how we can build up our own personal and community economics. And he is a dynamic speaker and a historian. You want to hear about how we got here as a people. He has some great information about it. There's some, I think there's still several great YouTube videos that he put out of his presentations that, once again, classics in the community. If you want to figure out, more about secretive things that have been going on to have us where we are today. I do believe that, at the end of the day, a lot of us are more aware. We're becoming more aware. Current events, like you said, Khalil, man, it's very gratifying to see in live action some of the things that have been reported in our community that people laughed at, that people paid no attention to, that it's coming, it's being revealed, on a broad stage now, that no, those guys that was telling you, that was sharing that, the Bobby Hemmets, the Brother Panic, the Azazel Bay, Aline Bay, so many of the brothers, laid it down, and they laughed at them. They played them, and they paid them little to no attention. And surprise, right in front of your eyes, you get to see a live action revelation of these things. So not even to say I told you so, but just to say there was something to that, and we need to take the further step of activating ourselves. Go ahead, take the further step of, since you know that this stuff is real, since you know that people are attempting to manipulate what you believe, your imagination, attempting to influence your subconscious mind, take this information and use it to take control of your subconscious mind yourself. Take control of your imagination for yourself and use it to build the world of your imagination, of what you decide, not what somebody else put in your mind to decide. That's what this is all about. And I hope that's what this inspires and empowers people to do. Don't just laugh at Diddy and all this crazy stuff he got going on. Take that information to the next step and use these things on yourself. Create positive imagery, create positive affirmations, and take positive actions towards creating that reality that you want to create.
Most definitely. You know what I'm saying? For anybody who may be laughing at the Diddy situation, I want to reinforce the idea of being aware of how you choose to look at a thing and how something is shown to you, because it's not 1,000 bottles of baby oil. And that's all I'm going to say. If you know that there's children involved, and just go back and watch the video for Faith Evans. I used to love you. I think it's the song. I used to love that song. I can't stand it. Go watch the video and you might understand why I feel that way. Because I felt that way 25 years ago when I saw this shit. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's familiar with that horrible trash piece of shit movie Netflix made, what was it called? Cuties? I think it was a UK film, right?
Yeah, that was.
You'll see where they got the idea for that movie from that video. You see what I'm saying? These people always show you who they are. And shout out to that list, that on the book list you got. Everything from Anthony Browder is a must own, especially Now Valley's contributions to civilization. If I'm saying that correct, if I'm not, please somebody correct me. One book, my ear was screaming at me. One book I would have to add to this list would be Blacked Out Through Whitewash. by Dr. Suzar Epps.
The
That is also a must on, along with everything else on this list. Um, and yeah, Magic LaCroix, are you talking about the Biggie video with all the children in swimsuits? No, that's actually another video. That's another video. And
wow.
if you go back and look at Bad Boy, especially in the beginning, you're gonna see some shit and wonder maybe how you didn't notice it or how you didn't see it. And it's understandable because I noticed it, and as per usual, I was called crazy. It happens. You know what I mean? You kind of get used to it, but you'll be amazed what these people will show you. You know what I mean? Like they actually don't try to hide it, but the idea of wanting to see goodness in people it's
Yeah.
almost like Inception. You just give your mind the idea, it'll take care of the rest. It works the same way.
Yeah, that's true. We just didn't think, a lot of it was presented to people who, in all honesty, they weren't participants in the world. A lot of this comes from like, there are such thing as secret societies where there's things that go on in the society that are understood only by the people in the society. They know what they're looking at because they're a part of it. When you're on the outside looking in, it looks like something else, and you do take that innocence into it. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I just, I turned this on. I was listening to some kids, singing and dancing, and it sounded good to me. I wasn't thinking that they were sending messages to each other about, how they're going to abuse these children. I think Magic LaCroix, he said it earlier about the pizza parties, when they say they have pizza parties. He said that too. Like, who knew that they were talking about pedophilia? That's a symbol that was at the time was understood only by the members of that society. On the outside looking in, we like, oh yeah, I can use a slice of pizza myself. like no, they're not talking about pizza, they talk about kids. We didn't know that. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to understand the symbols. Symbols are is one thing that you understand to be one thing, but actually has a lot of other meanings. That's why symbols are so powerful, because they can have a variety of different meanings depending on your view of it, but depending on the culture or society you participating in. So that's why literacy and symbol literacy becomes so important, because it helps us to understand what it is that they're showing us, even when you don't understand what they're showing you. It opens up a whole nother world of communication. Like, oh my God, who knew? Who knew?
Indeed. It's especially, you and I growing up living in Detroit, we saw some things firsthand that a lot of other people didn't. I never liked Puff Daddy. I never, as soon as I heard that name, you know what I'm saying? It was a wrap for me. And I did security, you know what I'm saying? I worked a lot of Bad Boy concerts. Bad Boy in Detroit, it kind of got a pass, because we had the Detroit Bad Boys, the Pistons.
Right.
We didn't mess with that name outside of that because it was a reference to the CIA. You know what I'm saying? So like it was a very thin line. But then, just to give an example to what you're speaking to, Aaliyah was born in New York, but she was essentially raised in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? She was right around the Sherwood Forest. She was 14, 15, getting married to R. Kelly, and all of Detroit knew it. I remember Bushman joking about it on the radio. You know what I mean? Even Mason back in the day. You know what I mean? But it was like, what would you do about it? Because obviously the authorities aren't doing anything. And then it's, if she's not, complaining and this and that. So when you look at that, we're talking about essentially, almost 10, 15 years to the point of her dying. where she went from Jay-Z to Dame Dash. You know, pictures have resurfaced recently of Diddy's parties where you can see them all in bed together.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there becomes this idea of, oh, well, she was doing this or she was doing that, even though there's no necessarily not any proof of that. But people will, you know, garner an idea in the court of public opinion very quickly. So now, you know, it's again years later, and we're just now getting around to what possibly actually happened with her death. You know, in other words, these things get drawn out for decades when they don't have to. Now, what happens when we point that inwardly and look at our own generational traumas and bloodlines? Like, you can understand where the term distraction really comes in. You know, so please take heed to the information that Hero Keith Young dropped here tonight. I thank you sincerely, brother. Masterful presentation. I look forward to doing this again very soon. You have any final closing words for the people? I have your information. All of your information can be found in the description, also on my link tree. But please give us your final thoughts for the evening.
Well, thanks again, brother, for extending your platform to me. And I always enjoy coming on here and having conversations with you about these kind of topics. You know, it's good to get with like-minded and individuals in some cases, and you know, talk about this information, share it, build on it, because it's, you know, pertinent information for you know, people who are of a like-minded, you know, bent, you know, people that are into taking control of their life, taking control of the narrative, breaking free from the matrix, you know, people who want to understand more about the universe and knowledge, who they are as people, taking control of the knowledge of self, their identity, who they are, uh, who they are as God, and how they can create the reality that they want. I mean, this information is for them, for us, and you know, it's always my goal to just share some of the information that I've come across as I have been doing this research myself, that I have found to be invaluable and that has helped me to change my life, and that I want to share with other people so that they can, you know, find their own way, find their own path, and see, you know, be able to find the magic glasses for themselves, put on their own pair. Um, Also understanding that it's not for everybody. You know, having the wherewithal to understand this stuff and to study it and all that stuff. This is not for everyone. And I definitely feel like this is a safe space for sharing this information. And thank you for providing this safe space so that we can, once again, we can build and we can keep creating together, keep decoding the matrix together, you know, as we find these insights that help us get to the next level, you know, in the spiritual realm, on the astral realm, you know, occult. You know, it's just awesome. This is an awesome place to be able to share that information and be able to build up on it. So thanks again. I did one last thing. Yafa Bay, a long time ago, she talked about etymology. There's some videos. You might want to check out what she has to say about the word bad. I'm not going to tell you what she said. I want you to, anybody who's interested, do some research on Yafa Bay, Yaffabey. She has some information on etymology. And she used to have a website. It was called The Spell That Cursed My People. But there's certainly some YouTube videos, and she broke down the word bad and what it means. And I want you to think about that as you're thinking about this whole bad boy debacle. Once again, this stuff been broke down for decades. We've been doing this for a long time, and there's a lot of great information about the media and being able to decode it. So thanks again, man. Peace to everybody that's in the chat. Magic, Moonfeather, I appreciate y'all participation and what y'all shared over there. I have been looking at at your comments. Thank you for checking out the information, and for participating with us. I look forward to talking with y'all again. I love y'all, and see you next time.
Thank you again for joining us, brother. Look forward to the next time. By all means, love, peace, and power to everybody in the chat. Moonfeather, Magic Qua, Divine Chaos, everybody on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Greatly appreciate y'all. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, man. Love, peace, and power.